you love ball like I do, After Dark's a must listen.
It's where I go to get my hoops fixed.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Welcome in to the Field of 68 After Dark, Wednesday, December 11th edition of the show. It was an absolutely packed night of college basketball. A grand total, as we speak, of one top 25 matchup that has concluded. And I believe San Diego State's in action a little bit later. But you know what? We have some things that we need to discuss, and that's what we're going to do tonight here on the show, because it has been a busy week.
Don't skip the mid-majors, Martin. Don't skip the mid-majors. Come on, man. There's some good games.
No, they're on me. They're on me. They're on me about that, man. They're on me. They say, I say Memphis should never play Arkansas State ever again. I hear it from all the mid-majors. I mean, they're just on me. I get it. But in terms of the marquee matchups, not exactly flush with those tonight, but that's fine because it's been a busy week in college basketball. Obviously, yesterday with the Jimmy V Classic that we'll get into. I'm John Martin, joined tonight by North Carolina Tar Heel, longtime NBA player John Henson, Matt McCall, longtime college basketball coach, veteran. Looking forward to having a great show tonight, fellas. Let's rewind.
Matt McCall.
Yes, he's a legend.
So much a legend on the intro, on the Field of 68 intro video. My picture's dark. It's like the starting lineups at UMass just like black, just dark. Can we change that? Can I get a better picture on the intro video? Is that possible? Who do I got to talk to get that done? Henson?
I like the aura though. I like the mysteriousness.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, you have to first of all, we didn't even know
pre-pandemic. That was pre-pandemic. That's what that was.
We didn't even know you would be back until like 3 weeks ago. So
yeah.
You gotta give us a little
kind of back and forth. Yeah. No, I'm a member of the media now. Okay, so now I can be Jeff Goodman and put every single coach in the country on the hot seat, and then they win a game, and then we overreact, and then we take them off the hot seat, and then they lose a game, and then they're back on the hot seat. So yeah, we can do that now. I'm a member of the media.
Don't be giving away recipes, all right, on a Wednesday night. Don't be doing that. All right, that's key to the whole enterprise. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight, as always, here on Field of 68 After Dark. Let's rewind, though, and let's talk about what was a huge win. I don't even know if you can quantify, John, the magnitude of that win yesterday for Arkansas. You and I have talked about it. We've done shows before about Arkansas, and we both came to the same conclusion that, damn, this team is lacking a little bit. They might be a good fade down the stretch. And they get this Michigan team that's coming in number 14 in the country. They're 3.5, 4-point underdogs there on a neutral in Madison Square Garden. They're down at the half, but they just fire back with their intensity defensively, their athleticism. They ultimately do hold on for the win, 89-87. How important was that win for Cal and for that program, especially at this juncture?
I mean, it was big because if you kind of look at their schedule, this is like their last opportunity before they go to the SEC gauntlet to get, a good win outside of conference play. I always said that because they have the talent, they could beat you on any given night. I just didn't see the pieces coming together. Last night they did. They went on a 12-0 run to start the second half. You really got to see when Boogie Flan and EJ Wagner are operating together in harmony. The arrow has been awesome this year. Their big man position with Adu and Big Z kind of been fluctuating. But you saw last night when Arkansas gets it going, they are a problem. I think after the game, Coach Kyle said, hey, look, we've only had 2 practices with all our bodies. So we're only going to get better. And, Michigan got a little taste of what Arkansas can be. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can improve on this as a young team with a big win, or do they kind of falter? Coach Cal's teams of late have not been very good with handling prosperity.
Yeah, Matt, I just want to give you a chance to weigh in on that.
Yeah, the one guy that just seems like a little bit out of the mix is Nelly Davis. Yeah. And when you watched FAU play the last 2 seasons, there was a lot of guys that struggled last year on that FAU team handling expectations. Nelly Davis wasn't one of them. And we look now at all those guys that made the run to the Final Four, and Dusty's now at Michigan. and obviously they lost to Arkansas last night, but Vlad Golden's doing his thing. I mean, he's a double-double machine at Michigan. Elijah Martin is doing his thing at Florida. And you just see all these guys. And Nelly Davis, Nick Boyd is doing his thing at San Diego State. Nelly Davis is the one guy that you're like, what's missing there? Because when you looked at him, watched him play last year at FAU, he was the one guy that was like, I don't care about these expectations. I don't care that we're coming off the Final Four. He's going to still go out there and do his thing. And he just hasn't been able to fit in yet. I said this on our first show, on maybe in the Hot Take show, on a preview show, whatever it was. Look, for Cal, you look at his record, you look at his resume, he always finds a way to win 25, 26 games. If you take out those pandemic years, he's always going to find a way to win that amount of games. What's he going to do come March? What happens in the NCAA tournament? And we tend to overreact when they lose some games early. They're a talented team, and talent takes over in some games. I mean, they scored 89 points last night, so talent takes over. It's once you get into the tournament and maybe there has to be an adjustment made. How are you guarding pick and rolls, different things like that? Now let's talk. Like what happens? But I mean, you look at pull up his Wikipedia page and how many 30-win seasons, 26-win seasons, 28-win seasons. It's ridiculous because he's always had that talent. It's all going to come down to what does this team do in March?
Yeah, I thought just contextually, just the timing of everything, because you look around and you see Mark Pope at Kentucky beating Duke, beating Gonzaga at Gonzaga. Not that what Kentucky does necessarily is going to impact Cal's legacy at this point, but just the timing of it, it felt like Arkansas desperately, John, needed to get one, man. They needed to get a signature win because they had not gotten one to that point. Then I would also just ask you, John, specifically, and you mentioned the health, Jonas Adu, his physicality to me changed the game yesterday. I know he only finished with 11-7, but just sort of if you were watching that game, it was impossible to not notice how good he was on the interior, boxing out of his area, just his physical. Did you sort of pick that up watching him? Because this is one of the first games what we've seen from him where he's playing his full workload. What did you just make of Jonas and his impact on that game last night?
He looked like Tennessee, Adu, the way he was just being physical and impacting the game. It's so hard, man. I was up when I played in Milwaukee. We were at our best. We had a 3 big man rotation, and it was shit. If you're not playing well, we're gonna put Greg Monroe in. If Greg Monroe's not playing, we'll put Miles Plumlee in. And it was just kind of a committee. Now we were all good teammates, and we had all got paid, so nobody was tripping. But to get in your rhythm and play, without looking over your shoulder was tough. So I'm hoping that he can get a little bit of a rhythm, and Coach Cal can kind of make him that guy in the starting lineup and cement his minutes to that team so he can kind of flourish. And last night you saw him getting comfortable. And when you do that, that's what's going to happen when you get a guy like Jonas Adu that's going to play hard. He's not going to be worried about fouling. He's not going to be worried about messing up. He's not going to be worried about sitting on the bench because Big Z's playing better. So I think tonight was a good start. I think he cemented himself maybe as the guy going forward, but we'll see.
Yeah, I thought it was.
But John, let me add this too. Like in terms of Cal, because of what Mark Pope's doing, it's like we're just comparing. It's like, oh man,
that's what happens. I mean, that's going to happen though.
But I totally get it. I totally get it. But look what this guy's doing. Cal's going to win 26, 27 games. The guy's in the Naismith Hall of Fame. At the end of the day, it's going to boil down to what happens in March in the NCAA tournament. That's what he's going to be judged on because of the last few years. It's like, hey, fresh start for Arkansas, fresh start Kentucky. And it's like, oh my God, look how bad Cal was the last few years of Kentucky. And it's like, okay, well, Mark Pope is doing a great job, phenomenal job, right? Like phenomenal. And this is what we get into the comparison deal.
And if you see, I mean, if you just look at the energy difference, man, like how Mark Pope's guys like Kurt Kriisa,
no doubt, they
said he called his coach FaceTime high from surgery. He said how much he loves him. Like the energy there is just like different, and that could be the difference, especially in the NIL transfer portal days. Man, you only have a certain amount of time to build that camaraderie. The only way Kentucky goes and beats Gonzaga at their crib is if they are together, and so that is, I think, that's lacking with maybe Cal's squad or Cal's ways. I personally think his offensive kind of philosophy and how he does things is a little outdated. But as you said, Matt, if I'm going to win 26 games a year and it's going to be the postseason, why would I change? Mark Pope has brought a new energy, a new feel, a new style of playing in Kentucky, and they're doing great. So definitely, I know Coach Cal's looking at the team. It's huge. But
I don't know if you saw this, like Mark Pope at the half of that game. Like he walks in the locker room and he's down 16, whatever it was at the half, and he was calm. Hey guys, this is like the old school coach goes in there and blasts them. What the hell? What the hell's going on? I can't believe this. You guys ain't playing hard enough. And he's like, hey guys, we got to figure this out. We got to play a little bit harder. And like the whole cool, calm, collected mentality of talking to your team at the half instead of overreacting, to me, with Coach Pope, that's the new age, in my opinion, with what these coaches are dealing with. You can't lose your mind. You can't snap. You can't start cursing and yelling at everybody. He walks in there. He's like, hey, we're going to be fine. We got to fix a couple things. They went to that 1-3-1, switch 1-5. All of a sudden, zone to man. Like that was impressive when you watch him. I'm not saying that he's not doing a great job. It's just like everything that Cal's dealing with is what Mark Pope is. It's like Cal's at Arkansas. Let's focus on Arkansas, right? Like it's like, let's see what he does at Arkansas. It's like, oh my gosh, look at Mark Pope and Cal's, he stinks at Arkansas. Well, we don't even know yet, right? It's at the end of the day, it's going to be based on what happens in March.
It's just the natural. I mean, I know you're a married man. You're a happily, married man, father of many children. But
I am a happily married man. Yes.
There was a time in Matt McCall's life, though, where, you had a split up. And let's not act like you just wanted the best for her every single time. You kind of wanted her to struggle a little bit. Let's be real. I mean, let's just call it what it is. And so when you look across, you're like,
so hold on, John. Are you saying
she upgraded? She upgraded on me. That's what happened.
Are you saying BBN's not going to give him a tribute video when he walks back in there?
I mean, I'm sure they will.
He won a national championship.
He won a title.
I mean,
but I'm just talking about where we are right now on December.
John Wall coming through there, introducing the dance. Like, come on.
But yes, look, but that was 14 years ago.
What coach has had the history of the school that he's had that has had such a toxic exit? Like, think about that. Like Coach Williams is coming back, watching every game, going to Maui. Coach K's in the ball,
smiling.
Like he should have that type
catching guys on the baseline. Coach Williams, like that.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
That's a good point, bro. That's a good point. I mean, look, we'll see. It's early. Yeah, they did. I mean, they effectively did. They forced him to sort of, for his peace of mind, take this job at Arkansas, which is a good job, but it's a lesser job.
And the new girl
Pitino walked in there this
wonderful.
year with a blue, he had a royal blue quarter zip on.
Yep.
Right. I mean, like this
is all good now.
Was the head coach at Louisville. Like, come on.
That's right. I mean,
out of town.
Undefeated.
I hated that the whole thing about. I hated the whole thing, and honestly, I'll be totally transparent. It's why I spent the entire offseason dog cussing Mark Pope, because I thought they did Cal wrong. The fact that this guy been bringing in top 5 recruiting classes every year, countless pros. Yeah, the results in terms of the tournament haven't been there the last few years, but you think it's really going to be better. And I have to say this. Even though I don't agree, and I know this is a conversation about Arkansas, even though I don't agree with the way it was done, I don't think I've been more wrong generally about an opinion than I was about Mark Pope at Kentucky. He has exceeded my absolutely wildest expectations. I mean, beating Duke in a neutral, beating Gonzaga at Gonzaga with players that, by the way, I would have said and did say were way worse than any player Cal would have brought in. And he somehow found a way to, parlay this into, one of the best starts in recent memory for Kentucky. So I just have to say that. I just have to get that out there. I was completely and utterly wrong about Kentucky.
Maybe they're in the honeymoon phase. You know that honeymoon phase, man, where everything's all sweet for a little bit. We'll see in a couple of years where it's at.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. Well, anyway, nice win for Cal. Nice win for Arkansas basketball last night against a ranked Michigan team. A couple of other games we need to touch on here. Illinois wins at home against Wisconsin. Matt, as you know, I know that Wisconsin's in a skid here. It's just, you look around college basketball, not a ton of teams are doing it on the road. It's just very rare that it happens, and it did not happen for Wisconsin last night. Illinois wins on the road. Just sort of your assessment of both of these outfits. Illinois getting the win, and then Wisconsin obviously on this 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, I mean, Illinois, and I had them, Wisconsin, I had them at the Greenbrier tip-off when they won that event, and they celebrated. And John Tonje was playing like the best transfer in the entire country. I even asked Greg Gard, I was like, is he the best transfer in the entire country? Is he underrated a little bit? He kind of looked at me funny. He said, why aren't we talking about him as the best player in the country? And handling success is something that's a challenge. And Wisconsin, they lose to Michigan at home. They turn around and lose this one. And they didn't play great against the Chicago State team coming out of the Greenbrier Classic. So, I still think they're a really good team. They were one of the most efficient offenses in the entire country going into that event. Stephen Crowell has not played great. But this Illinois team, you look at what Brad Underwood has done in terms of piecing this team together with everything that they lost. It's a really, really good team. And they're older. Like, even the freshmen that they brought in, they're older guys. And they play the right way. And the ball moves, it hops around. I mean, to see what they did last night with 2 guys getting over 20 points per game, and then Boswell comes in and gets 19, like that's some efficient offense. And Wisconsin was one of the most efficient offenses in the country 2 weeks ago. Wisconsin's got to get back to defending. And everyone talks about the Wisconsin style and how they play, and it's a slower pace. There's going to be less possessions, and Greg Gard has kind of shifted that this year, and there's going to be more possessions. They're going to play faster. They were scoring in the 80s, but they've lost that defensive edge a little bit, especially coming out of the Greenbrier tip-off. So they've got to get back to that. And Tonje is always going to give them a chance in every single game. Crowell, with how he plays, leading their team in assists, he's a unique cover. But when a team comes in and tries to take you out of your rhythm offensively, and you can't just run that ball screen continuity, it becomes a challenge. But you got to credit Illinois. And I think this Illinois team, when you look at the landscape of the Big Ten, is one of the better teams in the league.
John, thoughts there on Illinois getting that one done?
Illinois looks good from just like an eye perspective. When I'm watching the game, they're just a good looking team, just from top to bottom, from the guard position to the bigs. It's nice, clean, smooth basketball. So I love what they're doing. And in reference to Wisconsin, like Coach McCall said, you have to be able to handle winning and getting, reading your own paper clip or press clippings is probably what Wisconsin is a victim of, man. They were feeling good. Everyone's talking about them. Also, with the style of play changing, the more possessions and the faster you play, the higher variance of mistakes and the higher variance of you losing because there's more possessions, so on and so forth. So Wisconsin has this new style that we're all kind of like happy about, but it's also going to mean a little more variance in how they play, and they're going to have to play a little smarter and turn over less and, things like that. So I think Wisconsin, it's a rough stretch for them, but I mean, come on, Michigan caught them slipping. You got at Marquette, at Illinois. So I don't think we could take too much stock into it, but they definitely at least need to get one of these games, and they didn't. And they were kind of backs against the wall right now, man. Sitting at 0-2 in the conference.
Yeah, I just think
that's college basketball too, right? You start off the season undefeated, and it is. A week later you drop 3 straight. I mean, and they're good. I mean,
because Matt, teams don't win on the road. They don't. I mean, it's
John, winning is hard. Winning is hard.
No,
winning,
we didn't have to say that.
Winning on the road in college is because here's the thing, man, NBA, you got first class seats, you get to chill, get a little nice steak the night before. Man, you might, hang out, go to your favorite bar or strip club, whatever makes you feel good about yourself. Next morning you wake up, shoe, get a nap in. Like in college, it's like land, curfew, video, food. Like it's just no fun, man. It's just the road's no fun, what I'm saying? And that translates. That translates.
I mean, that's why, there's you could probably pick 5. You could pick 5 wins this year that have happened on the road that that are actually meaningful, right? Like most home teams are just taking care of I'm not losing my mind over Wisconsin losing this game. There's going to be a lot of nights this year in Wisconsin where they win home games against good teams. That's just the way it goes, right? So I'm not going to freak out, obviously, about a road loss for Wisconsin. And then finally, before we get to some, I don't know if I'd say they're radical ideas. They're not radical ideas. It's just an interesting. It's a thinker. That's how I'll term it. It's a thinker. Number one team in the country. Once upon a time, Tennessee got number one in the country. They promptly lost to Vanderbilt. Now, that was way back when Bruce Pearl was the coach of Tennessee. But it still kind of was interesting to see, all right,
what year was that? What year was that? 07?
That was 07, 08. It was 07, 08. Arguably the best year of my life here as a Memphian until the end of it.
Was that with like the scuffle in the hallway when the teams are going out on the floor where their guys were nose to nose? Was that year, John? Remember that?
Yeah, I think that,
Memphis.
Yeah, I think that was the year. Yeah, no, I remember very well. It's actually burned in my brain. I'll never forget it. That was also the worst time of my life. But Tennessee has been number one in the country before, and you've seen them not handle it that well. So you tune in last night to the Jimmy V Classic. How will this Rick Barnes team handle it? They handled it amazingly well. Matt, that defense, they've been top 5 at KenPom in defensive efficiency the last 5 years running. They're going to finish in the top 5 again. When they lock in, it's like what I can only imagine would be like a boa constrictor just wrapping around your neck, and just slowly, just squeezing the life out of you. There was a time there before Jim Larinaga made the adjustment to go with the young guys where it was painful. It was painful to watch the Miami offense. What makes that defense so good, and do you think it's one that will hold up, as we get into March?
John, it's like one of those things, like everyone talks about culture and everyone talks about like identity, and coaches throw out that terms. And when you see their press conferences, we're going to do this. We have this culture. We have that. That's what Rick Barnes' team do. And it's like, okay, Dalton Connect, he gets drafted. He's basically, the Lakers should play him basically over anybody on their roster except LeBron. And they lose him, and this team is now the number 1 ranked team in the country. Like, think about that.
Yep.
Had there not been a guy named Zach Edey last year, he would have been National Player of the Year. He would have been National Player of the Year. And they lose him. And they're the number 1 ranked team in the country. Like, that's culture. That, and Zakai Ziegler's coming back, and they got arguably the best transfer in the entire country. And credit to their staff, too, about going out and evaluating players that are at the mid-major, low-major level and getting the right guys, because that's what Dalton Connect was. And they bring him in, and his career takes off. And then they bring in Chaz Lanier, and his career's taken off. So credit that staff for evaluating and bringing in the right guys. But the defensive mentality, the culture of, hey, this is what Tennessee basketball is. This is what a Rick Barnes team looks like.
Yep.
That's what that is. Like that's culture. And it's really look, another coach, they ran him out of Texas. We've had enough of you. Okay? Like be gone. We don't want you anymore. You've stayed here too long. You're not winning enough games. Like go ahead. Oh, what? He's got the number 1 ranked team in the country at Tennessee, and
the second time he's had it.
Rick Barnes has made like Rick Barnes. What's that?
Second time he's had the number 1 team at Tennessee in his time there.
And that's hard for a Gator to say, a University of Florida alum. We don't like that color orange, but that guy's doing it, and he's doing it the right way, and he's doing it at a high level.
John, what do you make of Tennessee?
They're just a difficult team to play. They're not going to beat themselves, which is saying a lot with dealing with college kids. And the game is going to be hard. There's going to be defense. You're going to have to make the extra pass. Sometimes you're going to have a bad possession, and you just have to keep trucking. What Tennessee baits you into doing is, you just get frustrated. You start taking some open threes. You start taking some of these shots that are rushed, and all of a sudden they're running, and now you're down 10 points because you done took 4 bad shots, and it's led to fast breaks or easy points for Tennessee. The SEC, they'll drop a few games just by the nature of the beast, but this team looks formidable defensively, and then offensively with who they have with Ziegler and Lanier and the big fella that can stretch the floor, Gainey, they can roll with you too. And if they get hot offensively and start playing well offensively along with that defense, there's not a team in the country that could beat them. So I envision them having some type of number one seed coming into the NCAA tournament and maybe overall.
Yeah, and they're not even fully healthy. That's the other thing. Like they still got some guys that are going to get back, and they're a major problem.
Yeah.
And I'll say this real quick before we get out of here. I don't think they're priced in the betting markets as a national championship contender quite yet. And so I think there's some meat on that bone. If that's what you're into, I think if you can get, Tennessee at 15-1, 16-1, I think that's a really good bet. BetMGM, obviously. I really do think they're going to be there until the end, especially, when they get healthy. So I thought that was a statement last night. And I know it's a Miami team that's definitely struggling, but, that was one where they were up for that one. That's the Jimmy V Classic. Jim Larinaga had 30 friends and family, and Tennessee just said, it ain't going to happen tonight. We're number one in the country, and they showed it. All right, we'll come back. Matt McCall has an idea. I like it. I like it a lot. We're going to get into that and more about college basketball. You're watching Field of 68 After Dark. Back after this.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 throughout the year. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use bonus code FIELD, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. The best part, all you need to do is deposit and bet $10 of your own hard-earned money to be eligible. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using that bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. BetMGM is going to have some fun offers available throughout the NBA playoffs. Bet insurance tokens, odds boost, and what I love, a nice parlay booster too from time to time, as well as a ridiculous array of player prop bets for any sport that you could possibly imagine betting on. BetMGM is and always will be the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app, use the bonus code FIELD, and sign up today. And while I've got you, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of 68 content that you get for free is to engage with us. Rate and review the podcast. Like and share the YouTube videos. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back. Field of 68 After Dark, Wednesday, December 11th edition of the show. I'm John Martin, joined tonight by John Henson, Matt McCall. Lighter night in college basketball, as we talked about. Kentucky kind of survives that sandwich spot, right, between Gonzaga and obviously what's coming up on their schedule, and they get the job done. Outside of that, not just a whole lot here on the Wednesday edition of college. But Matt, you're a philosopher. That's what you do. You're somebody that is constantly trying to think about growing the game, and that's what I appreciate, man. You're a guy that wants to grow the game, and one of the ideas that you have is pushing back the start of college basketball, because now we know not only does college football end later, it's also like with the addition of the 12-team format, it's actually happening more in December than it ever has, right? So now we have, these opening round games. Then now we have these quarterfinals. Used to, we would just have the New Year's Day, you know, we had the 14 playoff. Now we got a lot more. We got 12 teams now. So we got 3 times the teams and obviously that many more games. So with that in mind, how important do you think it is that the NCAA and college basketball come to an agreement and say, hey, let's let college football have its moment here in November and December, and let's push our product back as far as we can?
Yeah, and I would love to get Henson's take on this too, because Feast Week used to be such a big deal. And I felt like this season, even though we had some great events, phenomenal events, I felt like it still wasn't the Feast Week that it once was, because coming out of Thanksgiving, it was always like, okay, there may be some football games on Saturday, but we still had these great college basketball games during the week. Look, the college football playoff, the national champion is not going to be crowned until January 20th. I mean, that's a long time from now. And everyone is still talking about college football. And Henson does some stuff on SiriusXM just like I do. If you tune into Channel 84, and I do a weekly hit with Jacob Hester and EJ Manuel on Thursdays, and we have this 15-minute segment where we talk about college basketball. But outside of that, if you're tuning into that channel, it is all college football. With everything that's going on in the playoff, I get it. I understand it. So what are we doing? How do we create more buzz around our game? Push it back. Give college basketball coaches, give them the month of September, give them the month of October to kind of reset after they're coming out of the transfer portal and summer practices and July recruiting and all those different types of things, and keep the focus on college football. Everyone's like, well, if we push the season back, we're not going to have March Madness. Well, you can still start the NCAA tournament maybe in the last weekend in March. Okay, still March Madness. I mean, the national champion in basketball is not crowned until April anyway. So the whole March Madness theme, you could still have it. It just starts in the last weekend. But everything is focused on football right now. And I'm not anti-football. My dad was a middle linebacker at the University of Florida. I love college football. I can talk about college football all day. My whole thing is how do we create more buzz around college basketball, especially in the early months? Coaches aren't like Kentucky Gonzaga the other night, unbelievable game. If you're a college basketball fan and you stayed up till 12:30, you watched that game and you tuned in. Auburn Duke, unbelievable game. There's still not enough coaches that are playing those games early in the season. So if that's not going to happen, we got to push this back. Let football have their moment. And the fact that the football continues to extend their season, then I think the NCAA has to look at the start date of college baskall. They have to.
Yeah, I mean, especially somebody whose alma mater just hired Bill Belichick. I mean, he has now, I'm hearing, according to sources, he has actually abandoned basketball, given their recent run, and he's all in on football. Do I have that correct?
On the search committee?
Do I have that correct, John? That you're all in on football now at North Carolina?
Around Chapel Hill, but so hey, look, whatever it takes, you gotta go hire Bill Belichick. Go hire Bill Belichick. I mean, I heard he had like a manifesto of everything he wanted. I mean, I love that for him.
Henson, I tweeted the other day though. There's like Belichick taking the Carolina job is like Michael Jordan going to the Wizards. Ooh. It's kind of cool. You want to see it, but do you really want to see it? Is that like, do you really want to see it?
I agree with. We
didn't really want to see MJ go to the Wizards. We didn't want that.
Stole Bill was gonna be my toast of the night. You stole my thunder, but shout out to. I mean, Carolina's always been the fringes, right? Top 25 team, coastal champions, runner-ups.
Yeah.
They swing for they get good coaches. I don't know what. That Chapel Hill nostalgia, I don't know what it is, but they get guys to come down there and coach. So Bill Belichick's no different. And if you're a guy that wants to play in the NFL, why wouldn't you look at North Carolina as a chance, knowing his connections and how he's going to run a pro-style offense, I'm assuming.
I can't wait for whoever's in charge of football on that campus in terms of the sport oversight when they have to go meet with that guy. Okay,
I can't wait to see Bill Belichick in retros.
Pregame meal or whatever it is.
He ain't finished. Bill Belichick and Jays, Bill Belichick, rocking some low ones, with the Jordan on. Come on, man, that's gonna be legendary.
And that's gonna be the highlight of y'all's time with him. is his shoes. Anyway, yeah, good luck, man. That's all I'll say. Good luck. I'm skeptical, but why not? Take a swing. You're North Carolina football. What are you protecting, right? While we're on the subject of North Carolina, as you look out at the ACC, obviously we know that certain teams are struggling in the ACC. It is certainly not the conference that we, hold it up to be this season. John, what do you make of it? Obviously, we know Duke's at the top, Clemson's at the top. What does the rest of this look like the rest of the season?
I think I'm just disappointed in the league maybe as a whole because, when I do ACC Today radio, and we talked to the commissioners and we talked to some of the higher ups of the ACC, and I think there's no secret that the ACC is down. SEC has 13 teams in the top 50 in KenPom. ACC has 4. ACC is firmly the 5th best league in the country. They don't really have many significant wins. If you take out Clemson and Duke, UNC hasn't beat a high major team this year yet. Worst first month record since 2001, the Doherty days. Only 5 NCAA berths in the past 3 years, fewest in a 3-year period in a decade. I think it's time for the ACC to take a step back from the higher ups on down and say, where do we want this league to go? You need to start investing in your teams. Obviously, the NIL is a big factor. We haven't really heard about a lot of NIL money in the ACC as we are in other leagues. So if the ACC doesn't start investing in their future, they will fall by the wayside. And these schools like Clemson, schools like Duke and North Carolina's Blue Bloods, they might have to start looking for a way out, man. Like, can you imagine like North Carolina and Duke, like not in the ACC? So I'm a little worried about the ACC right now coming into this conference play. It's gotten to a point now. We might get 2 or 3 teams, and there's only 4 teams in the top 50. So, if you go in there and beat North Carolina and you go in there and beat Pittsburgh, does that really count as like a signature win? And even Clemson, we don't know where they're going to go. Yeah. We've seen this before, right? Like Clemson, they play well out of the conference, then they falter, and now all of a sudden they're on the bubble, and they've got some great wins. Obviously, Duke is the cream of the crop of this league. So it's going to be an interesting run, and the ACC, I think, has to start taking a look back at themselves from the top on down on where they want this league to be and start investing in players and start and even up top, man. SEC has really taken a liking to making it a basketball conference as well as football, and they're reaping the benefits and the rewards with the postseason play.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, when we get back, it seems at this point expansion is inevitable. Charlie Baker basically laid that out today for the NCAA.
On the football playoff or the NCAA tournament? I'm confused. Like what?
They're gonna change the format because the SEC is not happy with the amount of teams they got in. They're gonna change the format. I don't think they're gonna expand. They're just gonna change the format. But the tournament, it does seem like, is going to expand, and the question then becomes, who does this benefit? What's it mean? Do Rob Doster and Jeff Goodman have a trademark? We'll get into that when we get back. Jason and John. Oh, Jason and John. I'm on a radio show. Field of 68 after dark.
Now that college basketball season is back in full swing, I need to remind you guys about our partners over at Autograph, where the real college hoops fans reside. The Autograph app curates all of the best content for every sports fan and every sports fan's favorite team. Podcasts, blogs, analysis. It's all there without the nonsense from the talking heads that don't actually watch the games. And there's a bonus. Consuming content on the Autograph app earns you coins that can be redeemed for rewards for things like no-fee tickets or signed jerseys from your favorite players. There are a couple new features in the app that I need to let you guys know about as well. Autograph Replay gives you a quick-hitting summary of the previous day's news so you can keep track of all the important things going on with your favorite teams. And Autograph Rooms allows you to chat in real time with the true voices of fandom within your team's community. So go to the link in the description or scan that QR code on your screen and download the Autograph app.
Welcome back. Field of 68 after dark, Wednesday, December 11th edition of the show. Yeah, listen, I think we've all, Matt, kind of assumed that for some time expansion was coming to this tournament. They've sort of flirted with it the last couple of years. It seems like it's a matter of when and not if. Now Charlie Baker did mention that, it's going to be 72 or 76. It's not going to go beyond that because of timing and because of the amount of time it would take between the end and the Masters. So I think there was some solace in that it wasn't going to be 88 or whatever the case may be, right? Not a nuclear scenario. Just on the surface of expansion, are you pro expansion? Are you anti expansion? What do you think of that concept?
Where does it stop? I guess that would be my question.
Well, he said it stops at 76. That's what he said.
Where does it stop? Like this, like Charlie Baker. And look, during the pandemic, I had to watch Charlie Baker on the news every single day, being the governor of Massachusetts in Massachusetts. Okay, shut our program down, shut our team down. We only played 15 games during that season. Seems like everybody was shut down in the entire state of Massachusetts. Now he's the one that is making decisions on the expansion of the NCAA tournament. I think his athletic background is he played freshman basketball at Harvard. Harvard degree, you got to give the guy credit. But where does it stop? Like, okay, let's expand it. We're gonna grow it to 72 teams. We're gonna grow it to 74 teams, 76, whatever it may be. Why mess with something that's great? That's my whole thing. Don't mess with one of the greatest sporting events that's out there. That's what the NCAA tournament is. Everyone tunes in to the first 2 weekends of the NCAA tournament. Everybody, whether you like basketball or you don't like basketball, you're tuning in because you fill out a bracket. You have no idea what teams are going to win or how you're going to win, but you fill out a bracket, you paid some money in your office pool, and you're tuning into the first 2 rounds. So why are we going to mess with that? Like it's fine the way it is. And adding more teams in, if you don't make it, I get it. Every year, you may feel like you got snubbed. Wake Forest last year, whoever it may be, you may feel like you got snubbed and you should have been in. And as a former coach, I get it. I understand it. But don't mess with something that's great. And you're now like, where's it going to stop? I might as well just have everybody in the country in. All right, here we go. All 364 Division I teams. Everybody's in. We're going to play a tournament.
We don't need that, Matt. I mean, that's
no, we don't need that at all. But we don't need to add more teams right now. We don't.
But John, we've already messed with it. We already went from 64 to 68. So what really is the difference between 68 and 72, right? I mean, I don't. These spots are all going to go to North Carolina.
Where's the floor? So you're throwing more teams in Dayton? Is that what you're doing? You're bringing more teams to Dayton?
You're going to have the next 4, right? Another TV deal, another $100 million TV deal, because now you got a night on True TV.
You got the first 4, and you got the second 4.
Yes,
you got the second. That sounds good to me.
And then you could have like a matinee for the last 2 teams, like to just play each other, maybe like at a random, maybe in Vegas, and just have a whole, weekend around that one. So, yeah, I think it's a.
No, here's what we're gonna do. They're gonna have the NIT, and then if you win the NIT, you play your way into the NCAA tournament. That's the way we should do that.
You do like fantasy league. You win your losers bracket. You get to pop into the real one. Yeah, I don't think they need more teams. What we have is enough. It is something that the world seems to watch, and it's about the money. That's all it's about.
Well, John, what it's really about, and I mean this lovingly. I love you. This is about your people, the Power 5, the power structure, complaining that they get left out. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is that they feel like, they don't have enough spots. They don't have enough bids.
And then it's just like, okay, if you're the last 4 in of 76, like, do you really think you're about to make a run to the Final Four? Like, it's like a 2-month process.
I mean, it's possible. It can happen, but it's unlikely. Yes.
Yeah, it's just unlikely. So I don't understand the logic behind it. Maybe if I see him one day, I could chat about it. Hey, man, just want to know what's the logic. What are you thinking? I wish he would explain to us what he's thinking rather than what he wants us to do. So maybe we could understand a little better. But I like where it's at right now.
Right. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me. Like who? I think St. John's was one of the teams that was left out last year controversially. Indiana State,
St. John's, right? Pitt, Wake Forest.
Yeah. Who wanted to see those teams last year? Nobody was checking for those teams last year. Right. I do think that is the issue, is like you have this sort of idyllic view of, oh, if we expand this thing, it's going to be more good teams in college basketball. It's like John just said, like it really is not going to mean that. It's really going to mean just another 20-12 power league team that dragged its ass all year long that probably doesn't belong. It ain't going to be the Indiana States. It ain't going to be, that 30-win team that didn't win its conference tournament. Unfortunately, it's going to be that power. It's going to, and I think ultimately the net gain of that is probably pretty limited.
Yeah, my only thing would be, okay, are you going to add in the teams that win the regular season in their conference? The mid-majors and the low-major teams.
Right.
You win your regular season.
Right.
If you're the Southern Conference regular season champion, you get in. Oh, and the Southern Conference tournament champion, you get in. Or the A-Sun, or whoever it may be. Is that what you're thinking? Or is it to get more high-major teams in? It's to get more high-major teams in. That's what it is. And I think for Charlie Baker to come out with this right now with the landscape of college athletics and everything that's going on, and everyone's really been hard on the leadership of the NCAA, right? We've all been hard on who's in charge here, who's making the decisions, who's making the decisions in NIL, who's making the decisions on the transfer portal. It's like, okay, well, I'm in charge of the NCAA. Oh, I'm pro adding more teams in. Let's talk about this. No, let's wrap our hands around what's going on in college athletics and make some hard decisions on way more important things than changing the NCAA tournament. Like there's so much more going on in college athletics that needs to be decisions being made, parameters, landscape, then, let's just add some more teams in the tournament. Why are you messing with what's good?
Yeah.
You don't need to fix this. To flex your muscles? Is that what you're trying to do? Because you're trying to say, hey, look, man, I'm in charge. This is what I want to do. There's no need to do that. Let's get some parameters on the other stuff that's going on. And look, I'm pro players getting paid. I'm not arguing that. Transfer portal, all that, but like there's got to be some level of parameter. And like we're gonna flex our muscles on the NCAA tournament. Don't mess with that. That's fine. You need to go fix some other stuff that's going on.
He might be golfing with the commissioners of the ACC, maybe, the old Pac-12, maybe those lower, they're golfing together like, hey, look, man, you can throw 4 more in there. Then, ACC gets 5 teams in and we look good and go on our day. Like it's something going
Henson,
on.
let me go play golf with those guys. Okay. Let me go play golf with those guys.
Well, you'll never get invited again. You'll never get invited. You're too radical. That's the problem. You're too extreme. Well, I will say this before we get to break. You talked about players getting paid. One player got paid a lot of money. That's AJ Dybantsa committing to BYU,
allegedly.
number 1 player in the country in 2000. Yeah. Is it allegedly? Do we have to say that anymore?
I don't know.
I don't think we have to say that anymore.
Like threw out a number. I think Goodman put it out there. Yeah.
Yeah. There's listen. I think the figure, the figure is alleged. There's no question about it. But he's getting a lot of money, John, to go to BYU. And I don't know. I remember there was a time when RJ Hampton skipped college and went to New Zealand, and we had this whole thing on, all these talk shows about how this is going to create a new trend. I'm not really interested in what this means necessarily for BYU, but what do you make of his commitment there, and are your expectations for the team high when he shows up to campus next season?
It confuses me because I think personally becoming a household name at a power school does more for you than any amount of money. I mean, knock on wood, barring him not being healthy or something drastic happening, he's going to sign a $50 million deal in 8 months after his $5 million NIL deals, when he's the number 1 pick. So, it's hard for me to fathom because I was a top-ranked kid in my high school class. So I'm not going to sit there and say I wouldn't have ran to the money, but I definitely went to BYU. I know that for a fact. So I don't, he plays with Utah Prep. So, I talked about it earlier. Maybe he's got an inside track to that Mormon Church investment fund, man. I heard they bankroll out there. So it's got to be some type of deal with who his people or who he deals with or agents. Like I just can't. I don't understand it. However, shout out to BYU getting the number 1 player in the country. And changing the perception of the program. They're going to probably get a couple kids that they probably wouldn't get to play with him. They will be on TV.
Yep.
They do play in the Big 12, so he will play against significant high-level competition every night in conference play. So shout out to him, man. Hey, I love everyone getting to the money, but yeah, he's going to see 5 to 10 times that in 6-7 months after he touches a college basketball court. So it's kind of weird.
Matt, what do you make of it?
You know, Kevin Young has the NBA background, right? So the kids.
Oh no! Stop it! We're not going to sit here and act like the coach has an NBA background and he chose BYU. Come on, dog. I mean, I ain't letting that one fly.
He's in their backyard. He's in their backyard. I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm with Henson. I was never that level of a player, but if they're paying more money than anybody else, and he's there, and then couple in the NBA background and all that, now it makes sense, John Martin.
You can have a
right?
Yes.
He's not from Utah.
I mean, you could have a damn Barnum Brothers circus background. If you paying me $5 million, I'll see you next year.
Yeah, he's from Massachusetts. Like, he's not from Utah.
Same thing,
right?
So, same thing, very similar. Massachusetts.
That's right. You would know. You would know, Matt. Man, I mean, that was your neck of the woods.
$7 million at BYU. There is some shady things circling about that wonderful holy place you call BYU. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wonderful and holy. He committed for the NBA training. He
committed
for the NBA lineage, man.
$5 million come to our school. Yeah, that doesn't sound very like religious, but hey, who knows, bro? You know what I'm saying?
But look, I mean, you could make a case that this is, and look, he's an unbelievable talent, but to sign a deal like that in college, right? Like Henson,
it's amazing.
I mean, who knows what his NBA career is going to be? Who knows? Like, you don't know. There's unknowns. You have no idea. Like Anthony Bennett, like Anthony Bennett, okay, who was so talented when he was at UNLV, and he was a double-double machine, led their team in scoring, #1 draft pick, and we don't even know where he is now, right? Like, we don't know where he's playing. So I'm saying, like,
he's in Massachusetts.
He's going. This is obviously he's picking the school because they paid him the most money. I mean,
and like he's projected to be #1 pick. So let's say he has a good year in college. Let's say he has a bad year. He's still gonna go top 5, right?
Right.
The rookie scale deal now for first pick is about $50 million. So $50 million plus 55 for another 5 from BYU. If things don't go well for him, Matt, he'll be okay. And so
exactly.
I don't.
That's my point.
Yeah, I don't think that's playing into his. And then there's insurance. He's got insurance too. We have that. You have insurance. I signed up for it. If something does happen where you can't play, you get a payout. So his financial future is set. At this point, it's just kind of like, let's run. Hey, let me run up run to the money, run. That's what he's doing.
That's right.
I love it.
And that's fine. Get your bag. That's the way it goes in 2020.
Get your bag. Field of 68. We stand by the NIL. Get your bag.
Facts. I'm just saying. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. It's cool to say that in 2024. We don't have to lie, Craig. We ain't got to lie, Craig. You know what I'm saying?
I had a great college career, and I was getting I remember times where I had like $500 for the week. Like I was happy. So I can't imagine 500,000 for the year.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's a new world, new era. No.
Benches and all. Hey, have you guys been? Man, I'm sure you call some games. You seen the parking lots of these kids now? Have you seen the parking lots? I mean, I'm not going to name the school, but I went to one school. I called a game, and they had more expensive cars than I did. I said, Jesus.
New world, man.
Audis, Range Rovers, Benzes. I love it though. I mean, like I said, get to the bag.
Hey, that's the way of the world, man. No question about it. We'll come back. We'll celebrate some of the biggest wins in college basketball when we get back. Field of 68 after dark.
Now that the college basketball season is in full swing, you need to make sure that you have access to the best betting tool on the market, The Rhythm app, spelled RITHMM, is a data-backed app that uses AI and analytics to identify inefficiencies in betting lines and the player prop market that will allow you, the user, to profit. You can create customized, analytics-driven betting models tailored to your personal preferences as a bettor. Users have access to up-to-the-second against-the-spread data. And if you're like me and you understand pictures better than numbers on a screen, Rhythm's internal trend analysis provides you with the kind of graphs that will allow you to evaluate past results and project future performance in a visual way. Every Division I college basketball team is included in the Rhythm's metrics. Free subscribers to the Field of 68 Daily will get 25% off for a Rhythm subscription. Use the QR code on the screen to sign up or download at the link in the description.
Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark here on a Wednesday, December 11 edition of the show. I'm John Martin, joined tonight by my guys John Henson and Matt McCall. All right, as we get out of here and wrap this up on another edition of Field of 68, obviously we end every show with toast of the night. So Matt, kick us off. Who gets your toast of the night tonight in college basketball?
You had to go to me. We had this whole rundown. We were going to have like the top transfers in the country, and I had this whole list planned. And I was gonna go throw out Elijah Martin, but then I knew that Goodman and Dawser would call me a Gator homer, even though what Elijah Martin's doing at Florida, and Florida's still undefeated, so I didn't want to be called a Gator homer. And then I was going to kind of give the top six at Kentucky. So that's going to be my toast of the night. The fact that Kentucky has six guys averaging double figures. The ball is hopping. The ball is moving. They came out of that big win against the Zags over the weekend. So toast the Kentucky Wildcats. They're top six. Keep sharing it. Keep moving it. Keep being unselfish.
John, what you got?
I like that. I remember when I was in school and there would be a team that has five guys averaging over double figures. Coach Williams would say, yeah, look at their record. They got six guys over double figures. It's going to be a tough night. I'm going to toast – I said a little earlier, I'm going to toast my guy, Bill Belichick, coming to make UNC finally the powerhouse it deserves to be. You know, I got my UNC Tar Heel sign right here. We are back. We may be struggling maybe a little bit this year in football, but you know what? Bill Belichick is on the way to make us relevant in the ACC. Shout out to my Tar Heels, and shout out to them getting the deal done, man. From Mac Brown to Bill Belichick, hey – Bubba Cunningham knows what he's doing out there.
It's like MJ to the Wizards, man. It's like MJ to the
Wizards.
I mean,
Mac Brown to Bill Belichick is like the same. It's the same dude. It's the same dude.
Yeah,
it's the same guy.
Legendary coaches.
I love how you said, by the way, my favorite part of your monologue was that I know we're struggling right now in football, brother. It ain't just football. Don't keep it to just football. You got more problems on camp.
I think I said I know we're struggling right now in general as a unit, football.
No, we gotta check the tape.
No. Go back to the tape. Rewind.
You're trying to be slick with it.
Rewind.
Hey, real quick before we get out of here, I'm gonna give a toast tonight to Tony Pujols at North Carolina. He went into East Carolina tonight as a 6.5 point dog and got the outright win. That's very difficult to do. It's not a power win, but to do that at a stop like North Alabama and go into an AAC place and get the win, that's a huge win for him and his program. So, Tony Pujols, brother, we noticed. We saw it tonight. Want to let you know. Congratulations. That's a very nice win for North Alabama
good
basketball.
Guys, man. One of the good guys. Guys.
So, very nice win. That's going to do it for us on this edition.
Yeah, where's your drink at, man? Come on now.
Yeah, he is more tonight. He really is. He didn't take a single swing of anything. There
Floridian.
It is.
Shout out to the Floridian.
There it is. Attaboy. That's gonna do it for us tonight on Field of 68 on a Wednesday. We'll obviously be back tomorrow. For my guy John Henson, for my guy Matt McCall, I'm John Martin. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight on a Wednesday. This has been Field of 68 After Dark. Have a good night.